All of these mass protests that have suddenly cropped up all across the Ivy League are a fascinating study in psychological operations. I know we talk about it virtually every day, but this particular paradigm where there are folks out there who, for some unknown reason, have this irrational need to put everything else in their life aside and go march and be violent and shut everything down based on something that has nothing to do with them. This is a perfect example that will illustrate why having control of your mind is going to be key, more so than anything else going forward the next 25, 50, 100 years. Because it's a battlefield of the mind thing. It's a war of the mind thing. When you have a certain set of beliefs and things that you have counted on your whole life, and then they get challenged, sometimes that can be uncomfortable, but more importantly, you have the ability when you're young to learn and change your mind. Cognitive dissonance, however, is when somebody has introduced a piece of information into your mind and they have added an emotion to it, and that you cannot divorce the emotion from the information. Then when that gets challenged, that is when people fall apart, start screaming and yelling and become what we call Karens and all this. Now, how does this necessarily apply and why the Ivy League? How many of you have seen all of the new articles coming out? Raytheon testing a deadly new laser weapon, all these different Iron Dome and all this kind of stuff. What about science versus religion? You see, the Ivy League for so long dismissed all religion, whether it was Islam, whether it was Christianity, whether it was any other religion. Didn't matter. It was all a bunch of bunk. It was a bunch of make-believe fantasy fairy tales. So how do these kids who live in that world somehow find a way to go pick a side in a religious argument? And that's what it is. That is exactly what's going on between, of course, Israel and them being surrounded by the Islamists and them wanting to exterminate. This is classic battlefield of the mind. This is why they're going crazy. This is why they're nuts. They're not trying to make a rational argument. You see, they've been indoctrinated. But the most important thing about PSYOPs is that what you have to do is that you have to take a piece of information and not just convince somebody that it's true. You have to convince them that they should feel something or feel a certain way because it's true, and get them all tied up in their emotions because of it. And then if anybody challenges it, now that person is going to get attacked. So, you've done your job, basically. You've put the virus, basically the mind virus, in, and it'll destroy the person before they can change their mind. This is a very, very easy tactic with the young, and it's what they teach in the military. This is how you can destroy your enemies, sometimes without even firing a shot. You can go with advisors, giant air quotes, into areas, and you can start to persuade, change, influence people. This is what we do over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. We teach this for $1 per month. That's it. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked. Partnering with Vimeo, we can take the gloves off, put a couple of speed bumps in place to get rid of the trolls, and we can go through all of these cognitive biases, all of these logical fallacies that are being used. But nobody is asking the question on this. This is Scorpius. And this is how big is Israel's military and how much funding does it get from the U.S.? And why the upcoming laser-based interception system will be the true protector of Israel. Really? True protector of Israel? I thought the Lord God of Israel was the protector of Israel. Isaiah 52:11-12 there. You see, this is going to be one of those kind of psyop things that can work two ways. Because those folks who are Judeo-Christian, Bible-believing folks that believe in, our God, the God of, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he will protect Israel regardless. That they could be walking around out there with nothing but loincloths and sticks, and God will still protect them. They don't need Raytheon. They don't need all of these things. God will find a way, one way or the other, to protect them. But try to confront these folks and say, wait a minute. Why are you picking Islam? Their beliefs and their religion is basically based on the same, what you would call superstition, as Christianity is. Why wouldn't you choose the science first? Nobody's asking this question. And that so many have dropped everything in their life. All of these tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe even more, have completely put their lives on hold, gotten arrest records based on this. This is more than just, mean old Israel picking on poor little Islam. It's more than that, way more than that. This is military level psyops. That even at Ivy League schools, where they do nothing but teach science, which is the antithesis of religion, these people's physics teachers and biology teachers, and they've got to just have their jaws open right now. It's like, why are my classes empty? Why are my classes empty teaching science? Because all these people are out screaming and yelling about something that has nothing to do with them. And it truly does have nothing to do with them. Those of you that are pro-science folks that don't believe in anything beyond, I'm just going to show you a picture. Can you explain? Everybody who's ever lived has died. That's common. Everybody knows that. So why do people still get upset? Why do people cry? Why do people mourn? There's nothing scientific about mourning. Even animals have been known to mourn. Why? What's the point? What's the purpose? You see, there's so much out there that science can't explain and can't deal with. But I think it's an incredible juxtaposition that it's the Ivy League schools that are the ones that are being shut down because of this hyper emotionalism based on one perceived better religion than another, or some slight by one country for another. The crazy part about this is that they find this one injustice where it's Israel and Gaza, and they ignore all of the injustices that are going on in the continent of Africa. Islam has all sorts of armed gangs and thugs that rove that whole continent and kidnap and extort and do all sorts of horrible things, and you never hear one protest about that. Never once. It's so fascinating to see the power of the mind. And when you know what you're doing, and when you know how to get to people, and the tactics and techniques to use, you can move mountains. And that's what's going on right now. There's even this push over in Europe to declare animals as sentient beings, simply based on perceived emotion. You see, they take these animals and they put them around humans. And animals, when they're around humans, over generations, begin to act and behave like humans. But you take a cat and you throw it out in the middle of a field, and it lives out in the forest, in 1 or 2 generations, they'll be feral again. They won't be the sweet, nice, fluffy little animals that you knew. It's an amazing thing, but they're giving animals rights. But when you look at animals' behavior, it'll directly contradict what they're trying to push with the idea of science, contradicting the emotion. Because they want to feel, and this is the key, because they want to feel a certain way about doing it. That's what ties us in. They want to feel a certain way about believing a certain thing. It's not about whether the facts are correct or incorrect. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about how they feel about it. And they have been conditioned to feel good hating Israel. And that's just the beginning and ending of it. So, anyway, if you'd like to join us at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, it's only $1. $1 a month at the base level. Even less if you sign up for an entire year, fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. We've got more levels over there. Still fighting this cold, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. God bless you guys. Pray for me. Definitely. I'm trying to beat this thing. Pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.